Good morning, everyone. It is another beautiful day here, and it is going to be another hot day here. So I decided, since the humidity is so high and the temps are going to be so high, that I'm going to do, indoor activities. But anyways, I hope that you'll want to join me for a little bit of my day, and I'll talk to all of you. Here in just a little while. Just a little while back, I watched a video on Little Village Homestead, and she talked about how to grow basil from cuttings. And I just thought, honestly, I thought, why didn't I ever think of that? So I did not plant enough basil, not for as much basil as I like to use, because I like to make different seasoning blends. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this. And so what I did is I took some cuttings and I placed it in this tiny little, because I didn't have real long stems. It's just one of those really tiny jelly jars. And I put the little clear marbles into it to hold the stems down and put water in it. And so, yeah, look, we have roots growing. And I am just all excited about that because, like I said, I did not plant enough basil. So I'm going to go ahead and plant them. But see, here's those marbles that I just, that I put in it. And that helped hold those little stems down, because some of them, the stem was like only that long. I knew it wasn't, it just wanted to float back out. So that held it down. But anyways, if you remember, I have these little pots that I started some herbs in way back in early spring. So yeah, I did run outside because I needed to get my potting soil that's in the shed. And so I filled up these 3 pots with some potting soil, and I'm going to go ahead and plant this basil in here and see how it does. I'm really hoping that it really will grow well, because I really do need a lot more. I really made a big mistake. I planted like probably twice as much last year and just had enough. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I thought maybe you want to come along with me. So how hard can it possibly be, right? Potting soil is pretty easy soil to work with, so I figured all we'd have to do is, how many do I have here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll put 2 in each. Make sure that I have a bigger one with a smaller one. Most of them, though, are pretty good size. I think there's only a couple that are really small. So I don't know if any of you have ever done this before, but I'm just going to go ahead and take off those 2 leaves, being sure not to throw those away and get those in the dehydrator with the rest of mine. And I don't know, maybe I should take off a couple more. Not really sure if I should have those stems down there. So, but I'm really hoping that these will take off. Because even if they come big late in the year, that's fine. I don't mind, because I'm just using it for seasoning blends. What do you think? Do you think it's going to work? Because I really hope so. That's going to look kind of cute. And then my last 2 here. So let's hope that this will work out for me, because, like I said, I was really kind of disappointed. I thought, oh, I don't have near enough. But anyways, I'm going to link below that video from Little Village Homestead, and yeah, talk to all of you in just a little while. today's devotion, we will be reading from Malachi chapter 3, verse 3. He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. He will purify and refine them like gold and silver. And that is exactly what God intends when He allows trials to enter our life. If we are willing to surrender our will to His will, God promises to produce through our trials something far more valuable than gold, which is Christ-like character. The Bible is filled with descriptions on how God works as a heavenly refiner in our lives. And it's quite similar to the process refiners use to purify ore here on earth. The first step is the brokenness. The refiner in biblical times broke up the hardened ore so that possible precious metals of gold and silver could be exposed to heat. In truth, we are all rough rock in need of brokenness and God's refining fire. We are told in Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 29, "Is not my word like fire, declares the Lord, and like a hammer that breaks a rock in pieces?" The second step is the crucible, which is a fireproof vessel used for melting a substance that requires a high degree of heat. The refiner puts the broken, crushed ore into the crucible. Then the crucible is placed in the furnace. And the application for our lives is our refiner puts us into a crucible and then into the heated furnace to purify our hearts. As Proverbs chapter 17, verse 3 says, "The crucible for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the heart." And the third step is the dross. The refiner watches as the ore melts in the crucible and sees a layer of impurities called dross. They form on the surface. Then he removes the dross. The application for us individually is dross represents anything that keeps us from being all that God wants us to be. Like Proverbs 25 verse 4 tells us, "Remove the dross from the silver, and the silversmith can produce a vessel." The fourth step is purification. The refiner skims the dross off the surface, looks into the crucible, and sees a dim image of himself. Then he carefully turns up the heat and places the crucible back into the fiery furnace, over and over again, up to 7 times, because he knows that only certain impurities are released at certain temperatures. And the application for us is clearly defined in Psalms 12, verse 6. "And the words of the Lord are flawless, like silver purified in a crucible, like gold refined 7 times. And the fifth and the final step is the reflection. To assess his progress, the refiner looks for his own reflection on the surface of the melted silver or gold in the crucible. The more dross removed, the less distorted the image. Only when the refiner sees a clear reflection of himself in the crucible is the process complete. And the Bible tells us in Romans 8:29, "For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that he might be the firstborn among many brothers. As we trust God to use our pain to purify our hearts, our character will come forth like gold. Like we're told in Job chapter 23, verse 10, He knows the way that I take. When He has tested me, I will come forth as gold. And with that, I want to remind you, life happens. Let's enjoy it. And this process unmistakably describes our refiner's loving intentions for allowing us to be in the furnace of affliction. The Bible encourages us to trust God at all times, confident that He causes all things to work together to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose, as we're told in Romans 8:28. God bless, and I will talk to you tomorrow.